All right, so today we're going to be looking at the brand new update for MCP agents from N8N. Now, previously you had to set this up locally, you have to self-host the whole process to use the community nodes feature, which is how you could previously use N8N agents. Now, instead, it's much easier to set them up, which you can see with this MCP server trigger, and then you can link N8N to multiple different tools. And what I would say is the biggest benefit of all of this is that you can actually connect this over to Claude. All right, so inside Claude, you can actually start using MCP servers to send emails and that sort of thing. So you can see here, for example, we sent this email using an MCP server, and this is connected to N8N. So we've actually got our Claude desktop connected to our MCP server on N8N, and then we can connect the MCP server over to, for example, like Gmail, or call in other workflow tools, which I'll show you exactly how to set up in a minute. So, for example, I actually sent this using Claude Desktop, this email right here. I just said to Claude Desktop, using the N8N MCP server, go off, send an email, boom shakalaka, you can see that was sent. It actually took me absolutely ages to figure all this stuff out. So I hope you find this useful. And I'll also talk about the pros and the cons, which I've listed inside the AI Profit Boardroom if you want to get access to that as well, right? So let's get straight into this. So what you can see here is we have an AI agent connected to an MCP client, and we have our MCP server trigger, which has an SSE endpoint we can connect. All right. So what we're trying to do here is basically set up an MCP trigger where we've got all our tools connected, and that could be other N8N workflows, it could be other AI agents, it could be, you know, all your tools on Gmail. You can basically connect any app through a tool using this process, like you can see right here. So you could connect, for example, like Airtable, MCPs via Asana, AWS, etc. Right? And essentially, once you've done that, you can then connect this to Claude. So I'll show you how to do that in a second. But the step number one here is that you need to update your workspace inside N8N. So if you go to N8N, go to your dashboard, and then inside the N8N version section over here, you want to make sure you've selected the latest beta. Right? So we're running 1.88 on the updates. Okay, once you've done that, it's going to have to restart the workspace, wait a couple of minutes, and then once that's been set up, what you're going to see inside N8N is this MCP server trigger option. Okay, so if you want to set up an MCP server trigger, basically you would right click, add node inside a canvas. So we can create workflow, we can add a step, we can set up the MCP server trigger like you can see right here. And then you'll see that you've got a test URL and a production URL. And this gives you an SSE endpoint. Now, this is one of the biggest issues with the N8N setup is it's using SSE, it's not using MPX. And if you want to use most of the MCPs and the servers that most people use, let me find this list for you. So if you want to find most of the model context protocol servers that most people use, so for example, like Slack, Airbnb, etc., stuff like that, then a lot of these have like a MPX endpoint. And that means you can't use it inside the MCP server trigger on N8N, right? Because it's SSE, it's not MPX. I don't know what any of that means. I'm not a coder, but I know that for sure, right? Based on on my layman's understanding of this process. All right. So what you got here is an MCP trigger. And that's pretty easy to set up, like you can see right here. And then inside the MCP trigger, you can start adding tools. So for example, we can set up a Gmail tool, and then we can get the AI to figure out who to send to, who to send from, the message to send. We can have the email type as HTML. And then now that is connected to our MCP server trigger. And we can add multiple ones of these. So we could add like a Gmail tool for drafting emails, or getting your emails, or deleting emails, etc. Right? So you can see here, for example, inside this MCP server trigger, let me pull this down. We've got one for getting our messages, drafting emails, and sending messages. All right. And then what you can also do is you can connect this to other N8N workflows. So you can see here, for example, we can select different workflows from the list and we can input queries into that. All right. So we could have like another Gemini agent somewhere along the way, and then we can use that MCP server to call other AI agents. What does that mean? Let me explain it. So essentially, you're going to have way more freedom inside Claude because now Claude is connected to all your N8N agents. All right. So everything's a lot more connected. Like previously, you might be using Claude, then you might be using like ChatGPT, then you might be using N8N. All right. And now with N8N's new MCP server protocol, you can link all of these together because you can build Claude and OpenAI agents inside N8N. And then when you use Claude Desktop, you can connect your MCP servers to your N8N workflows, like you can see right here. So for example, we've got this N8N agent connected as a tool to our MCP server trigger. And then inside Claude, when you set this up, and I'll show you how to set up in a minute, if we go to a new chat over here, we can see that we've got all of these tools connected, right? So we've got AI content, which is the AI content tool. We've got Gmail, creating emails, getting our emails, and sending our emails, right? So we can actually send emails directly from Claude because it's connected to N8N. So you can see how to set up a tool inside your MCP server trigger, like this. And then if you want to connect this to Claude, you would just make sure, number one, that you make this active, and then number two, grab this production URL, like you can see right here. All right. And then from there, you need to install the Claude desktop app. All right. So install Claude desktop. And once you've got that installed, like you can see right here, then we can actually set up MCP settings. Now, once you've got Claude desktop installed, you're going to go to help, settings, and enable developer. All right. So you just go to help and then enable developer mode. Right? And once you've done that, you'll see this developer sign under here. And inside your settings, you'll have this developer tab right here. Right? The developer tab will allow you to set up MCP. Like you can see right here, we've got our MCP server running with N8N. And if we go to edit config, we have a JSON file that we can edit. Now inside this JSON file, you can see how we set this up. Let me pull this up and I'll plug it into the AI Profit Boardroom if you want to get access to this. So you can see the code that we've set up. And basically we've put in quote marks, MCP servers, N8N, command, arguments, super gateway, SSE, and then you've got the endpoint right there. So this is the SSE endpoint from the production URL inside the server trigger. So just to recap so far, you're going to update your N8N workspace to 1.88. Then you're going to add a new node on a new workflow called MCP server trigger. From there, you can add whichever tools you want to connect to your MCP server. So for example, we've added Gmail and also another AI agent from another workflow inside N8N. From there, download Claude Desktop, allow developer settings, and then inside the developer settings, set up your MCP server, just like you can see right here, okay? And take the production URL and make your workflow live. That's basically it. And then once you've done that, you can use this to send emails or whatever your tools are connected to, right? So you can see here, for example, we've used N8N to send this email about MCP servers. And the way to do that, the way to use MCP servers inside Claude is once you've set up the JSON config file, then you will see the MCP servers allowed, and you just restart this, right? So you're going to quit Claude, open it back up, and then inside Claude, we can say, okay, for example, send send an email to me at juliangoldie.com about MCP servers. Then it's going to run that locally, like you can see right here, it's drafting the email, and then you would just allow for the chat, right? So you're going to allow this message to send right here, and it goes off and does it, like you can see in this example. All right, so it's pretty easy and simple to set up. So you can see that email has now been sent. So that was literally just sent straight away. It says, hey, I wanted to reach out to you regarding the MCP servers, blah, blah, blah. And you can see that it's figured out to send an email using Claude Desktop to our email address from our Gmail. And that is just run directly from here. Right? Now, if you want the example workflow like you can see, then you can use that inside the AI Profit Boardroom. We've attached an MCP AI Agent template. So if you go inside N8N, download that template I've given you, then click import from file, upload the JSON file like you can see, and we can import that AI agent with the MCP server. Right, good to go with all the integration set up. See, if you want to set up an MCP agent in like one click, that's probably the easiest way to do it. Again, you can get that from the resources inside the AI Profit Boardroom. And you've also got the configuration details for Claude. So this is a Claude. And also, I want to talk you through the pros and the cons of this next. All right. So it's really cool. I mean, it's absolutely amazing that you can do this. There are a lot of pros, right? So for example, native tools, you don't need to self-host N8N anymore, and the MCP trigger is set up and directly inside N8N. Also, this is way easier than setting up the self-hosted version, which I've also got a tutorial inside the AI Profit Boardroom for inside here. So if you go to the SOPs from March, you'll find the MCP N8N agents workflow right here. But it's a lot more complicated, a lot more coding involved, especially if you're a non-coder like me. I'm not a coder at all. But it took me about probably, I would say about 60 minutes, maybe 120 minutes to figure this all out properly. So Claude can also use N8N tools, which is amazing. To be honest, like the fact that you can connect Claude directly inside here to N8N and all your workflows is absolutely amazing, right? So if we go back to our overview, we can use all of these workflows inside Claude, which is pretty cool, right? Because you've just made Claude 10 times more powerful. I mean, you could even set up a workflow inside N8N where it connects to the internet, and then all of a sudden Claude has all these AI agents inside N8N connected inside the MCPs that can connect to the internet. All right, so that's pretty cool as well. You get live tool access, which is awesome. And also this works inside other apps. It's not just limited to Claude. For example, this connects to Cursor as well, and Cursor can trigger custom workflows. The only issue is it's not fully flexible. All right, so you can't build like a super agent. It's limited in terms of how many tools and how many servers Claude can understand at once. And also it's SSE only, which means that it's not going to be able to use MPX, right? So for example, other open MCP servers, like for example, Airbnb or all these other MCP servers, you can't use inside this method, right? Because it's SSE, not MPX. And if you want to check that, let's go to GitHub MCPs, and I'll show you a couple of examples, all right? So for example, you can see here, if we look at this Airbnb server, it's MPX, it's not SSE, all right? Which means that we can't use N8N with MPX, only SSE. So hopefully, I think this is going to get easier and easier to roll out. But if you want like the super early access to it, and if you want to set this up yourself, I've shown you exactly how to do it, how it works. I've shown you proof that it actually works as well with this example. And it was really easy to send this email, right? Like you just go into Claude, you're like, boom, let's send an email to me at juliangoldie.com about MCP servers. It's like, yeah, I'll be happy to do that. Bear in mind, like you can't do that inside ChatGPT or anything else. Like this is one of the only places you can actually do it. And you can see here how it said, I've sent an email with information about MCP servers. The email provides an overview of what MCP servers are, etc. Right? And the cool thing about this is you've basically turned Claude into like a personal assistant, but it's such a nicer UI than something like N8N, where, if you're trying to send emails and use this as an assistant all day, probably going to drive you crazy on the UI, right? And also, like, you could give your team access to this, and then they've got access to all these MCP servers inside there. So super cool stuff, really promising right now. I'm excited. but it's going to take a bit of time. All right, it's going to take a bit of time to figure this stuff out. And if you just want the easy access and the template that I've used today, then you can get that inside the AI Profit Boardroom. So thanks so much for watching. If you want to get access to my community that shows you how to make money and save time with AI, feel free to get that inside the AI Profit Boardroom. If you're confused about anything, or if you want to meet people who are passionate like you about AI, then feel free to join the AI Profit Boardroom. You can also DM us with any questions you have. There are weekly live calls, so you can get coaching whenever you need it. It has an amazing community of 685 members that you can ask about AI and that sort of thing. See all the activity inside the community here. Very active community with lots of cool stuff going on right there. And also inside the classroom here, these are all different courses, right? So for example, like this social media course comes with all my best automations, including how I make money and save hundreds of hours with AI avatars. You can see here, for example, my email content automations. If you want to get the workflow and template from today, that will be inside the N8N section as well as the SAP section. And also this comes with an amazing crash course to save you hundreds of hours with AI as well. So feel free to get that. Prices are going up this month, so feel free to get that before the prices go up. And also, if you want to get a free one-to-one SEO strategy session that shows you how you can get more leads, traffic, and sales for free from Google and increase your profit margins, feel free to get that. And on this free link building acceleration session, you'll get a free custom tailored SEO game plan to show you how to get more customers, sales, and profits from Google. Also answer any questions live on the call, and you'll learn how to quickly outrank your competitors, all right? And that's based on how we've helped literally thousands of clients at this point. You can see all the happy customers and testimonials on the website right here. So feel free to put that link in the comments and description. Jay Smith says, thank you for mentioning the information. I'm still wrapping my head around MCPs. Yeah, I think this is one of the easy. Why is my head so far down? I think this is one of the easiest ways to get access to it. So I can manage N8N and workflow through Claude. Yep, absolutely. Can you chain MCP triggers to other services via other MCP triggers? Not sure about that. I'm not like crazy advanced on MCPs, but I know how to set up with stuff like that. And Jamie says, just want to say that your work rate is awesome. You're my go-to channel for latest AI updates. Appreciate that, man. Thank you. And ViewMe says, what plan are you on? Just a normal plan. And when we look up, I made it. Yeah. Welcome, my friend. All right, cool. So we've talked about how to set up MCP agents with N8N. Fairly straightforward right there. What I want to show you next is a comparison between Firebase Studio and Bolt DIY and a few other different options, all right? So we'll come on to that sec. I don't know how many of you are actually using Firebase right now. Ahmed says Manus, Manus, Manus. That's what we're talking about. I haven't used Manus for a while since GenSpark came out, to be honest. But it was impressive when it first came out, for sure. Anyone still using Manus? Today, we're going to compare Firebase Studio versus Bolt.new versus Lovable versus DeepSight, which is a DeepSeek free alternative for building apps, landing pages, and coding stuff. And we'll compare which one creates the best apps, etc. Right. So Firebase Studio was just released yesterday. It's a product from Google, which is free to prototype AI and that sort of thing. So we're going to be testing this out today to see how it performs. One of the first issues with Firebase is actually you have to delete some of your workspaces if you want to use it. So you can see here, it's got a limit of 10 workspaces on the free plan. And even though it's free, it's not 100% perfect, all right? So we're going to be comparing this side by side versus Bolt.new, Lovable, DeepSight. And first thing that we're going to do is come up with an idea. And the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to use one of my favorite tools. This is inside the AI Profit Boardroom if you want to get a link to it. But this is basically a tool for coming up with prompts to build apps. So for example, let's say we want to build a app that teaches us Spanish. I'm going to say to Prompt Forge, give me a prompt to create a app that teaches people Spanish. And then we've got the prompt right here. So we're going to take that and plug it into Fire Studio. So this is Firebase Studio from Google, the free version. We'll click Prototype with AI. Then we'll do the same inside Bolt.new. We'll do it inside Lovable. And we're also going to try this inside DeepSight. All right. If you want to get links to DeepSight and everything else, and you want to see my tutorials on it, feel free to get that inside the AI Profit Boardroom. Link in the comments description. Basically, this is like a free app builder, free coder that uses DeepSeek to build stuff out as well. So it's really good for building apps. You can see it building out the HTML file right here. And then you get the live preview inside here, right? Lovable is working its magic, right? So we'll see how that does. Bolt.new is already on the NPM install, so that's doing pretty well. And then Firebase Studio has prototyped a app called Hola Amigo with these features and style guidelines. So we're going to go with that and we'll click prototype this out. And basically what we're trying to test here is, okay, which tool builds the best apps, which are the most functional, how fast is each one, etc. And can they really do what they promise, all right? I've seen very mixed reviews on Firebase, and yesterday when I tested this out, Firebase Studio, it was cool, but one of the biggest issues was that it was great for building simple apps and not great for building complex apps. So we'll see how both of these perform. So Bolt.new has built the app right here. It's building the mobile application. Is it stuck on preview? We'll see how that performs in a second. Doesn't seem to give us a preview on here. And look at that. It's not working. This screen does not exist. Okay, I'm going to screenshot that. Not a great start from Bolt. I do find it super buggy. Like when it first came out, I could forgive that, but it still seems to be quite buggy. But we'll see. And I'll say fix this bug right now. Let's have a look at Lovable. So Lovable still working its magic. It could take a bit of time. DeepSight has already come back to us with some decent examples right here. So we'll see how that performs. It's going to take a while to create that, but that is the fastest at building the UI. And also, you know, Bolt.new didn't do its magic, whereas this did. Let's have a look at Firebase, see how we're getting on here. So it's got one issue already. This is the other thing that I find with Firebase is like quite often it comes up with these errors and stuff like that. So I'm just going to auto-generate the API key, and then we'll see how that performs in a sec. Bolt.new has finally come back to us with something here. So we've got welcome to Spanish learning, start your language journey today. We're going to click on learn at the bottom. This looks pretty cool, to be fair. All right, so let's see how this goes. and then we get an error straight off the bat. So I'm going to click on attempt fix. Not a great start. DeepSight is still building out. That is a long HTML file. Look at that. Lovable is still building out. Fire Studio has an issue. I'm not particularly impressed with any of these right now. I mean, DeepSight looks like the most promising. Bolt.new has already come back with a preview. Lovable is spinning up a preview, and that's taken quite a while. And Firebase Studio gave us a few problems here. So let's see what we got here. All right, so we'll click on practice, and it says interactive quizzes will be available soon. But I mean, that's the whole point of this, right? We're trying to get interactive quizzes ready to go straight away. We'll click on daily word, and nothing is happening when I click on example. We've got another error. All right, I'm just going to go and grab a API key because it says error generating the key, so that's a bit of an issue. It's another annoying thing with Firebase Studio. It's like it offers to generate an API key, but then when you click that, it often doesn't work when you ask it to. So let's try that again. We'll click API and get API key from aistudio.google.com. I have to create a temporary one. Let's copy that, and we'll plug it into here. All right, so I'm going to put API key for Gemini equals, and we'll see if that works. I'm sorry, but I cannot directly handle or display API keys within the interface for security reasons. Okay, great. So are you using my API key or not? I'm not sure there. But let's see if that works. So we're going to click on practice, and the practice bit doesn't work, which is the whole point. So we're going to click on, so I'm going to type here, practice section doesn't work. Can you improve it? Bolt.new. Let's click on learn. Oh, heavens to Betsy. It's not working at all. All right, we'll dismiss that. Can we actually use any part of this? What does hola mean? Hello. What does gracias mean? Thank you. Oh, smashed it. I don't know why the quiz is only 2 out of 2, but at least the practice bit is working. The learn bit doesn't work at all. You can see the errors right there. Let's have a look at Lovable. Lovable is generating a little preview here. We'll click on the sound. Just going to make sure my audio is on. There is no sound. Okay. Let's click on practice. See if that works instead. I mean, the UI is pretty nice on Lovable, to be fair. It's nicer than Bolt's. Much easier to preview things as well. The sound doesn't work. Let's click on reveal translation. So that should be hello. Okay, nice. So that's working pretty nice. Verde green, I think that is. Yeah. Gosh, I'm just smashing it on the Spanish here. Cinco, 5. Nice. All right, so that works pretty well. Let's have a look at the daily word here. Agua, we can share that. That doesn't work. Listen doesn't work. But, I mean, that's shaping up as the best so far. So if I have to put this in order, I mean, Firebase is just totally failed. I'm going to put that last. Let's have a look at DeepSight, see how we're performing here. Again, the sounds don't work. Let's click on the practice section here. I mean, the actual UI is probably the nicest so far. So I'm going to put DeepSight number 1. This is a free tool as well on Hugging Face. So you just go to huggingface.co/spaces/ENZOSTVS/DeepSight, and you can get access here. And this should say hello. There we go. That works beautifully. Let's have a look at the multiple choice. What does agua mean? Water. The multiple choice doesn't work. Matching game, drag the Spanish words to match the English translations. That bit doesn't work. But I'm going to put that, I think Lovable is winning here because it actually works. DeepSight, I'm saying is second. Bolt.new seems to have failed us a little bit, but it's not as bad as Firebase Studio, which literally doesn't work at all, right? The daily word doesn't work, the practice doesn't work, the API key doesn't work, and there seems to be issues every single time we generate it. So if you're looking for a free version, then I don't think I'm paying for Lovable. So I think a free version that's a really good alternative is Lovable. Then I would go with DeepSight. DeepSight is pretty cool as well. It's just going to take you a little bit more back and forth to get better previews. So for example, like the drag and drop, I would just remove this stuff and then get it to simplify the code. So I'd say something like simplify the code so it's just flashcards with scores, no drag and drop or audio, etc. All right. And then I would just simplify the app because it's one single HTML file, right? It's very, very simple as an app builder. It works, but you don't want to make it too complicated. The more you add like flashing, bells and whistles, the more it's going to break. All right, but that's pretty good. And then you can also deploy this. So inside Hugging Face, you can click on deploy to space, create space, and then you can deploy this and share it with people, right? But the UI is pretty nice on there. I like the fact that it's completely free. I like the fact that it's just a simple HTML file as well. That's pretty good. And then we've Lovable as well. This is cool. Like this looks good. I would just remove the audio bits because that doesn't seem to work at all. Bolt.new is broken. No matter how many times I go back and forth with it, it seems like. And then Firebase is just not working in any way. So that's my opinion here. Lovable comes in first, DeepSight comes in second, Bolt.new comes in third, and then Firebase Studio comes in last, as in it's not working at all. All right. Now, if you do want an SOP for building simple apps and you want to see some of the stuff that I've built inside here, along with 100 different app ideas that you can build with AI, feel free to get that inside the AI Profit Boardroom. This is an awesome community focused on helping you make more money and save time with AI. Prices are going up this month, so make sure you sign up before you miss out. And also inside the community, you can ask 685 members any questions that you have, along with getting access to an awesome classroom full of all these different courses, agents, etc. We just did a new SOP on MCP agents inside N8N as well, so you can grab the brand new workflow inside here. And this is just getting updated pretty much every single day. Like you can see in April, we've added all this cool stuff. Additionally, it comes with weekly live calls with us, so you can jump on the live Q&As, ask us any questions you have, and get all the support you need to start making more money and saving time with AI. Top of that, if you want to get free one-to-one SEO strategy session that shows you how we take websites from 0 to 145,000 visitors a month and generate hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales and autopilot, feel free to get that on this free link building acceleration session. You'll get a free custom game plan so you can generate more free leads, sales, and profits to your website from Google for free. Feel free to book that in, and we'll also answer any questions you have live one-to-one on that call. So feel free to book it in. And it's based on how we've helped so many clients at this point. You can see all the awesome testimonials and case studies right here. Thanks so much for watching. Appreciate it. Bye-bye. So cheers for watching, everyone, and I will see you on the next one.